Good morning from Mountain of Dreams. This marks 2 weeks since my self-sequestration here, and probably have at least 2 more weeks of this. So I'd like to just connect with everybody, try out my new device, and tell you how I've been keeping myself occupied here in the stay-at-home era. The first thing I've been doing is finishing a sweater for Rod. This will be a V-neck sweater. There's the back, large size, long-chested. Start at the front. I had to do that to replace the one that I shrunk of his. By mistake, due to my advancing age, I mistook one of his woolen sweaters for an acrylic one of mine that I wanted to wash in cold water. Well, it drew up. And so I have to replace the one I ruined. The next thing I'm doing is, of course, reading a lot. And since I like reading big fat books, I'll show you the 3 fat books I am going to read during this period. This is a reread, 800 or so pages. Upside Terra Nostra. Not for everybody. Weird, that's all I can say, but very, very engrossing, very imaginative. It's not realistic fiction. I tend not to like realistic fiction. I like fantasy. I like magical realism. I like weird. So that's why I'm reading that. And then I chose this big fat tome, a 2-volume set, Anniversaries, from A Year in the Life of Gesine Crespol by Hugh Johnson. I think I'm saying that right. Translated from the German, set in New York City in the year 1969. That's a big fat one. Then this history one I started. I tend to have 3 or more books going at one time. This is Traitor to His Class, The Privileged Life and Radical Presidency of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Another fatty, 800 so pages too. So that's what I'm doing. The next thing I'm doing is I'm reviewing first year French in this course, this video course of 30 lessons. It's very good. She's a good teacher. She puts language into practical situations and contexts where it's easy to remember the vocabulary. Then I am working on my verse novel, which is a combination trying to do 2 things at once. The 2 things that occupied my interest in writing is, well, history and narration combined with verse form. There's been many verse forms written before, but this is my attempt. And I'm not going to tell you too much about it. I'm just going to read the introductory stanza. And I'm now on 47 pages. 1. Aboard ship, 1850, homeward bound. Outbound from Livorno, 6 days at sea, I turn. 40 years old as our son, almost 2, romps upon the deck, and Giovanni watches from the stern. 10 years older than him, I will try to fathom how since I arrived in Europe, I've been transformed. I should have been born in Rome, not where I began, for the merchant ship steers where I no way conformed to the standard of womanhood prescribed by man. The 3-masted Elizabeth shears the water like fleece. I took her name for good omen, bidding goodbye to Mrs. Browning in Florence, and stuffed my valise with the incomplete book I planned to amplify. No more precious cargo than my sweet Angelo. Though tons of Carrara marble brim the hold, with olive oil and John Calhoun's statue below, stowed with bolts of silk and fancy hats, to be sold to the highest bidder, like slaves in the market, whose bondage after Mazzini I can't ignore. For cries of the oppressed for freedom will not quit, so that the name of second sex I brook no more. The last thing I've done in this period of confinement is to play the harp more. So I started this maybe 10 years ago with slow, painful progress. But I'm going to do for you the first ditty I tried to play on the harp. So here we go. Let's try something else just for kicks. Oh well, that's what we've been doing there. Well, I hope that you're making the best of a bad situation, like we all are, for the benefit of all for one and all one for all. May the Lord bless and keep you. May the wind blow gently at your back. Goodbye. Have a good day.